confusing.
Camera's happy? Thanks all.
Joe, just your initial thoughts on how the game panned out. You started fast and then a bit tight at half-time and then really good second half.
Yeah, it fluctuated, didn't it? Really happy with the start, especially a couple of the tries that we put together. We were a bit lucky to probably get Nick Frost one. It's not often a lock lopes 50 odd metres to finish a try, but you take them whatever way, shape or form they come in. And it was great to get the maul up and going today. I think we got 3 tries through the maul, one early and those couple where we kind of needed something to keep us probably keep a bit of momentum on our side once we had the yellow card at that stage, and then obviously that extended. So I thought the composure was really good, because at 19-13 you can start to feel that you're suffocating. I felt we lost our shape even toward the end of that first half, where we had the possession and finally gave up a penalty. We got a bit ragged, I thought, and it was testament to the Welsh defence. And at the same time, I felt we just lost our way a bit. So it was nice to get some momentum back in that second half. And I felt in the last quarter we put some good stuff together again.
With the maul, what was it you sort of spotted about Wales in the build-up, which worked so well for the team?
Well, I think it was just the fact that they'd done so well against us in July with the maul, and it was nice for the forwards to really maybe target that. Allan might be a better place to answer. He was the one pushing and shoving to make sure that the maul went forward. Doesn't do any harm to have Will there. He's a big body, but the boys had worked really hard on it, and they got some benefit from it.
Have you had a chance to chat to Simon about his red card?
Yeah, briefly. I mean, he's pretty distraught. 50th game for the Wallabies and getting that red card, and he was trying to drop into the tackle, and I felt Max just dropped as well. We were surprised that there was no mitigation, particularly because Max played on. And there was no ping on his mouth guard, so it was then described as high danger. But that's just the world we live in now, and we will look at that closely and potentially ask some questions through the right channels.
Thanks.
Hi Joe. Warren's now overseen a record 11 defeats in the spin for Wales. Do you have a lot of sympathy with him as a fellow coach?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we were talking before the game, and we both shrugged our shoulders at the end of it and said, who'd want to be a coach? It's tough, but it's tough for the Welsh players at the moment. I could see how hard they were working. The way they built their way back into the game at 19-13. There's admirable stuff, and they probably just needed a couple of breaks to go their way. They even at 40-27, if the pass hadn't been forward and they score in the right hand corner, you're almost within range, and you don't know what can happen. So I think the scoreboard exaggerates the difference between the two sides. I don't think it was as different as the scoreboard suggests, but when you're trying to chase a game, you start to overplay potentially, and then the game loosens up, and it either comes off or it doesn't. And for us, we got a couple of tries on the back of that.
Allan, can you talk a little about what was being said on the field when somebody went off there? We talked about that was obviously a period where it could have gone two ways. What was being said and the ball, in particular, semi-coach, was that a point?
Yeah, I think the message that was delivered there was just trusting our connection. We knew that we had to work hard for each other, and that connection is something that we've been building throughout the whole year, both with boys who are playing and boys who aren't. And I thought that was great, to feel that out there. I thought it was perfect for like what we needed. And from the game driver's perspective, we thought that Moore was giving us some ascendancy there, so it was an area that we wanted to keep going, and we're fortunate enough that it just kept giving us points, but also giving us front foot ball. So I thought our game controllers were really good in that moment. So well, because we knew that it was going to be a tough test out here in Principality Stadium, and that was what we got. So that character is going to continue to build, but I think in that moment it's we'll take a huge step forward from that.
Joe, Allan, are you both allowing yourself to dream at all at this point, halfway there to this Grand Slam, or is it just still too far away to even contemplate?
Too far away to contemplate, probably. We have talked about regenerating well tonight and making sure we don't miss our flight to Edinburgh. Get the front half of the week right and see what comes in the back half of the week. I've got massive respect for Scotland. I think they will be very tough. They play a fast game. They put massive pressure on at the breakdown. They've got a good loose forward trio, but also I think their tight five have been going really well as well. And then when you get the ball to Finn Russell, he's a bit of a magician. And then out wide, Darcy Graham's been going super for them. Duane van der Merwe on the edges, and in between them, we've got our very own Sione Tuipulotu, who's leading them by example, and Hugh Jones there doing a good job. So, I don't think I've missed anyone, but they've got such a good depth as well. If they don't have a player, they can put another player in and be really effective. So, and we certainly haven't looked as far as Dublin. That's always going to be really tough for us on a 6-day turnaround. But I'll put that on the back burner definitely.
In terms of the steps that you made here, compared to the Southern where you had a close test, this was in the end a bit of a blowout. 32 points. You can't imagine that you were going to win that easily in the end.
Well, we certainly didn't think so at 19-13 at half time, and a minute and a half into the second half to lose a man. So we didn't feel like that, but we were delighted that that's the way it ended up. And I do think. I think the Rugby Championship is a tough competition. We got within 3 points of the All Blacks, and then away to the All Blacks led almost at half time, and they scored late in the first half and maybe got away from us a little bit. But I think being competitive in that has allowed us to build as we go along, and hopefully we can build on what we've done in these first two games and go again next week.
Joe, just on that Wales South Africa next week, what would your advice or recommendations be in terms of character?
Stick with the pride and character that they do show. South Africa, they are formidable, but I just think they've got to keep trusting in themselves. Belief is really hard to build, I think. And belief, I think Allan spoke about it really well. Character, belief, they're interwoven. Connection, that takes time in a squad. And when you've got a lot of inexperienced players, and I think losing Adam Baird, for example, today early in the game, I think that's a massive blow for them, and allowed us maybe to pilfer a couple of lineouts when they were in good field position, the Welsh. So. I don't know what his injury is, but I guess if he's not back available, they'll come up with a good line-out plan against the South Africans, and from then on, it's just making sure. I mean, how good was Cheslin yesterday? They've got so many weapons across the game. I think if we were playing them, I'd feel the same way as Gats. It's going to be a big challenge.
One here, thanks. Just here, mate. Sorry, this one here in front first. Thank you.
Allan, just how proud are you of the character that you and your teammates showed, obviously, especially like 13, 19, down to 14. In a way, it's almost like you got even better, went up a level with a man down. So just how proud are you of the character that you and your teammates showed?
Yeah, really proud. You know, especially being out there and feeling it. You know, it was really special, and I think it's going to go a long way for our group. And like I touched on earlier, that's that connection that we've been trying to build for months since July. You know, and it's all the little things that we've been doing off the field, the way that the squad connect. Not only the boys that are playing, but our whole squad. You know, every little moment, every little training session builds that character, and I think for us to connect like the way that we did today out there under pressure was massive for our group, and I think we're going to go a long way from that.
At the back, please, and then back to the front.
14 months ago, Wales were beating Australia 40 points to 6 at Lyon. There's been an upwards trajectory, obviously from an Australian point of view since then, but as dramatic in contrast, and it's quite stark, has been the way the Welsh rugby team has gone. Have you been surprised with that over the past year?
You know, I wasn't following it overly closely. I was obviously with the All Blacks last year in the World Cup, and so we had enough on our plate. But I obviously look back at all the World Cup games with Australia and the Welsh one. The Welsh, they were clinical, and they built their pressure. You know, the early try, get the lead early. I thought in the first quarter, Australia were actually right in the game, but Wales built their way away and accumulated on the scoreboard and controlled the game really well. But they did have a few different players, and I mentioned Adam Beard earlier. You'd be surprised what pulling experienced players can do to a young team, because the other guys you look to when you're under pressure, the other guys you look to lead, to have the calm voice, to make the good decision. And I just think, you know, I was talking to Dan Bigger before the game. You know, Dan provided some misery for me a few times here with Ireland coming over and him kicking goals and kicking the ball in the air and catching it again and making tackles. He's an outstanding player, and it's not like suddenly you can replace that. I think Gareth coming in gave them a bit of stability, but you know, there's a lot of youth around him, and so you got a young kid like Alice Bevan. You had Tomas Williams, who unfortunately got injured as well. So there is a period of time where catching that experience up and growing and understanding the pressure moments of a game. I don't have an answer for it. I just understand that it can be tough going.
This will be the last one at the front.
Joe, a lot of fans here are getting more excited about the Lions. Is for you as a coach, do you see that as like the ultimate challenge for a Southern Hemisphere coach to try and lead the side into a series against the Lions?
I think it's exciting for sure. It's a lot less about me. It's just around galvanising the nation, really. What we've been really excited about is how many messages we've got from Australia while we've been over here, how much gold there was in the crowd. And even last week, we didn't expect to see, you know, the gold pockets in the crowd at Twickenham, because they tend to dominate with their white. And so those things are exciting. Obviously, I'd be pretty good friends with Faz. We worked together for a while, and I'd know him well. So, you know, that will be challenging, because he's a very good coach. So, on the coaching perspective, that will be challenging. But on the playing perspective, I think for the players, outside of a World Cup, you just can't get bigger than the British and Irish Lions. I think it's going to be a fantastic tour. It's going to be. We'll keep building, and I'm hoping it's a really competitive series.
Thanks all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.